Whoa. What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. It is another episode of the Finish Line with myself, the legendary Richmond Webb, and Mr. Houdini himself,
There
the
he
triple
is.
OG, Mr.
There he
Ballgame.
is.
Had to reload it there.
Gentlemen, how are y'all feeling? Third loss in a row. Started off 3-0, went 3-3, then went 8-3. Now we're 8-6. So hey, what are we gonna do? Win the next? We're winning out, baby. We're going to the Super Bowl now. If you do the math, how y'all feeling after the loss? And also, how y'all feeling about the NFL managed to find something worse than a participation trophy with the NFL Pro Bowl fan vote, as Tua gets the most votes and doesn't even make the Pro Bowl team, as the squad just came out and it's Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow for the AFC with Tua as the number one alternate. So, how y'all feeling? Tyreek Hill, Teron Armstead, Xavier Howard are the only Pro Bowl Miami Dolphins this season with a bunch of alternates. So, how y'all feeling, man?
Actually, I feel pretty good. Watched the game against the Bills. It was a tough loss, but I think the thing that that kind of gave me confidence is that we went up there and competed. You always hear the narrative about the cold weather, this and that, but actually we had opportunities to win the game, and I think it let Buffalo know that yeah, y'all beat us, but we're not the same team that y'all used to playing, year in, year out. So we're definitely making strides, we're making progress. And it's probably been a month since we played at home. So got Green Bay on Christmas Day and looking
Ooh, say
forward to
that one
that.
more time. Say that one more time, just the way you did.
We got Green Bay on Christmas Day.
Oh,
Drop
all
your
right.
beat. Hold up now. Well, let me wet my whistle right quick. He sounded like he want me to drop some balls or something. Hold on. No, I'm just playing, man. Man, so much to be thankful for, family and all that. But I just like the way those guys show resiliency. They didn't quit, and even I watched Tua's post game interview, and like I said, a lot of times when you lose, you go back and watch the film. It's not as actually bad as you really think it is. So. Um, and the other thing about this team is they never seem to. They always seem like they got confidence that they know they can still win the game. So I definitely noticed that even in a few of the losses. So I feel good. I think we're gonna get back on track. We're at home, and it's been said that we definitely play a lot better, especially defensively, at home than we do on the road. So it'll be good to get back at home, get in front of the home fans and this and that. Let's get this thing back turned around. Mr. Ball Game,
Yes,
it's
sir.
over to you, my brother.
I think the to be honest with you, I'm actually in a bit of good space still. Only because I agree with what you said. They won the game, but we beat ourselves. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And in truth, the things that we can clean up or the things that we should clean up that should be checklist items. There's only a couple. They take care of that. They take care of business. I think this team showed without a shadow of a doubt that under any circumstance they can travel and they can go into any stadium and win. That Bills team led by Josh Allen is an amazing group, and to be able to go toe to toe with them,
Felt like
punch
a
for
playoff
punch,
game.
blow for blow, huh?
Felt like a playoff game.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
we it took them once again to come down to the very last, last bit of the game to defeat us. That says that we're right where we need to be. And I came away from that game really, extremely, extremely hopeful and optimistic about, the outcome for this group. Now, having lost those three and tasted three back-to-back victories the way they did and lost the way they did. My hope now is that with a full week that they look at this and they want to go out and remove that bad taste out of their mouths and out of their spirit and, just handle business. And no better way to do it than being at home, going home being revitalized and sleeping in your own bed and doing all those things should bring about a different mindset, as well as a little bit more to give back something to this fan base. Aaron is who he is, but that don't necessarily matter much to me at this point. I don't, the Pro Bowl thing, man, for me,
Wilkins is a bigger snub. Wilkins is a bigger snub.
They snubbed a lot of us, bro. Like, to me, Christian Wilkins is down there, Aaron Donald 2.0. And
he deserves it over Tua and X. And the reason why Burrow made it over Tua, we talked about this before we went live. The reason why he made it is because of the recency bias.
Right.
If Tua would have just the last 3 games, if you would have seen 2 of the last 3 games, we win, and he still has that 295 game, and we win that game, and then he win this game, Tua makes it in. I guarantee you it, bro.
Facts.
Guarantee you it.
So it's unfortunate that they've now completely taken it down to being nothing more than a popularity contest. Because
Picard got in over Ingold.
That's crazy. Because I can't for the life of me think on any planet where I watch and go back over any of these games, and I would have picked Xavier Howard to be a starting corner for the AFC.
And I'm an X guy, but I can.
We are. We both are.
Yeah,
I love my guys.
We're X guys, but
his play has been subpar.
Yeah.
This has probably been arguably one of the worst seasons he's had.
Yeah.
And he's been healthy, which is crazy enough. And it's been subpar. So I don't know. I mean, at this point now, I just scratch my head and think,
if Tua had a career year and he didn't get in, X at the year he's had shouldn't get in. And to be honest with you, Wilkins probably deserves it over both of them. If you want me to be completely honest with you.
No, that's true. That's true. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And who knows, man. But at the end of the day, I think these guys mentally and deep down in their hearts,
you want to be controversial? Jalen Phillips deserves it over Xavier Howard.
Bam. There we go there too. That's a strong argument. It's definitely a strong argument. At the end of the day, they're playing for something bigger than the Pro Bowl. So, it's great to go.
Yeah, we ain't trying to play no Pro Bowl.
We ain't trying to play no
Super Bowl, baby.
Super Bowl. Yeah, exactly. So, tough loss, but there was a lot of things that came away. And when you have the same naysayers across the larger platforms nationwide coming out and saying, "Man, I saw something from that Dolphin team I didn't even think they had." They can go.
You saw that, eh?
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith was impressed with that loss, bro.
That matters. That matters more. That we gained more from that loss than I think we would have gained. We would have obviously gained the W, but that respect, and for people to actually come out there and openly say that this team is a lot better than they thought they were and that they can win anywhere, that is huge. Now our guys just got to clean up the small things, man, and go out and execute these last couple games and get it to the playoffs.
So yeah, the Dolphins, they fall to 8-6. They lose a heartbreaker, 32-29 to the Bills. They were up by 8 with what was it, 4 minutes left?
4
I think
minutes.
it was.
Yeah.
And they ended up losing it. Tough because you Sherfield or Hill had a chance to turn a field goal into a touchdown. Neither one made the catch.
I got a question for you.
I just wanted to run through this first. 3rd and 17. Defense didn't get off the field. That ends up being a touchdown before the end of half. And then 3rd one, Tua misses Gesicki up the seam to seal it. Go ahead, Ballgame.
Hey, so I went back when I was watching the film, and that route that Tyreek ran in the middle of all that chaos and whatnot, to me, just me, from the way the ball was thrown, I don't necessarily, that because they look like he was surprised by that ball. I thought that ball was going to Waddle in the back of the end zone.
No, he layered it over the linebacker. Right
in the top, right. But then when you watched it, it's like it surprised him, like he wasn't expecting it because
Tyreek was surprised, but it was Tua was targeting because if you actually look at the end zone angle, it's behind Waddle.
Okay, well,
so you look at me and Martin, the trajectory was Tyreek
for certain. Those two scores.
Tyreek apologized, though.
It's a done deal. Huh?
Tyreek apologized on Monday on Twitter for not being good enough. What do you think he was talking about? I would guarantee you that ate him up.
Yeah.
And he was like, damn, if I make that catch, we win this ball game. And then we're not only up by 4, we're up by 5 because we don't go for 2 points. We take the 1. So now we're up by 5.
5, right.
So we actually should have scored 34 points.
Yeah, and Sherfield was definitely beating himself up right after he dropped it. You saw him. He was like,
oh, yeah. Either one of those. And the other thing, too, is Sherfield should have been running Braylon Sanders' route.
Yeah.
Because then he's gone. He's gone, right? So, anyways, man, I mean, we
can
look back.
Did the headphones die on you, Richmond?
Yeah, keep cutting off, but I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay.
And just whatever, man. We can and they were like, let's be honest with you, like there were tic-tacky calls the Bills were getting, and we were not getting. Like
they were molesting our guys, bro.
That last throw of the game, Waddle clearly got turned around. That was a pass interference. And then earlier on that out route, Tyreek, like, what are we talking about? Like, guy's arms being like held down. He can't make a play on the football
unless they change some reading of the rules. The rule for pass interference always has read that the defensive player cannot at any point change or alter the body.
Should you be able to challenge it?
Well,
if they're going to give you one penalty, you could challenge.
That would have been the one where Waddle got turned for me.
Well, no, I'm saying like if we go over the committee, right? Let's say
yeah.
There's one penalty. It's PI should be able to challenge, bro.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, dude.
Hook and turn a receiver, and he's going literally this way, and then he gets turned because you hook him and grab him. Then you should be that should have been automatic. And here's the crazy part: the Kadu
flag was out before the
flag was already out before you saw that. That's crazy.
I know exactly why, because he didn't turn his head.
He didn't turn his head. Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly why they threw that. Contact happened. The head hadn't turned. Ball wasn't there yet. The ball was on trajectory. Threw the flag. You got to turn your head, bro. You can watch their chest and you can watch their eyes for a certain amount of time, but you got to just.
All you got to do, and then it can be so subtle.
You don't even
have to be a full head turn.
You don't even
all you got to do is just look.
Just turn.
That's it. Just look.
Glance. Just give me a little minimal effort, and you ain't gonna get that flag. And you want to be extra? Glance and sell it like he knocked you down. That's a real pro right there, brother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And let's be honest.
Small things, man. Those are small things.
White was getting away with so much contact. Like
he was exposed. He was exposed, and the refs. I don't know what ref was watching, but I don't know for the life of me when it ever became legal to legitimately be in a trail position and have your hands on the hips of the receiver as you're running upfield. Like that is, I've never seen that, and he did that repeatedly all night.
Congo line, bro. Right up the field. There you go. And I don't complain about you. Never hear me complain about the refs, but I was just, what bugged me was they were getting the ticky-tacky calls, and then we weren't getting the same exact ticky. If you're gonna call it ticky-tacky, call it both ways. Don't go one way, bro. Equal. Like that's what bothered me. So
seemed like the colder it got, the less calls they made.
I gotta say though, I always say this though, if you gotta depend on the refs, you didn't make enough plays to win the ball game. So
bam. And here's the thing that we believe also in the coaching realm. Any loss that we endure or that we take that's less than a touchdown, that's coaching. Anything over that touchdown, that's players and lack of execution and coaching. But it's primarily coaching if you lose a game by less than 6 points. Because you should have had all of that dotted. You should have had all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed. And there were things that we can point out that we didn't do.
Let's talk about this then. Let's
get it.
So let's talk about Tua, okay? Okay, I got a question for all y'all. A, was that Tua's best cold weather game by far? And B, you look at what you were just talking about, ball game. The snow started falling. And it almost was Tua was like, oh, y'all think I can't throw in the snow, huh? Watch this. The throw to Cedric, the throw before that. And then all of a sudden we go from, okay, Tua's saying, push me. We went from Mostert saying, feed me, to Tua saying, okay, snow's falling. I'm ready to push the ball and score 6. And then we do this stupid screen to Tyreek, right? Then third down, we end up on 3rd and 12, right? And what we get a 1 yard run on the first down, instead on 2nd and down, hitting them with another run or pushing towards the sticks. We run the stupid screen. So now we're on 3rd and 12, and then Waddle doesn't get the penalty on third down. Ball's out of our hands. 7-minute drive. All of a sudden, the defense goes from allowing 8 yards all game to Singletary to 34 on one singular drive. Like, overall, brother, like, thoughts on Tua's performance, but also thoughts on the offense as a whole in terms of key drops and play calling at times, especially on third down. We were in 3rd and 1 or second. We were in 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2 about 5 or 6 times, and we only ran it once. Your guys' thoughts?
I think as far as play calling go, I think we sucked in that area on both sides of the ball.
I agree.
At this juncture in the season, everything should be complimentary, and there shouldn't be circumstances that arise that you have an opportunity to get an offense as potent as theirs off the field, and you go out there and you play poussoir ball, right? Backing everybody completely up, even past the line that they need to get to, and then you give up the intermediate middle of the field for a dig route by a guy that say they got completely lost. That, to me, is unacceptable, especially at this level. That's something that I see happening in high school and down in the, in the youth ball league. Not at the NFL level where anything can happen. You got to play as if it's the last play for you, period. Right? Guard the line and ensure that your guys are fundamentally sound and that they are actually 100% in their alignment and assignment, not backing them up, playing scared. And that's what he did, and it broke us, because at that point, they went down and continued moving the ball down the field and ended up scoring. It was just crazy to me how Boyer did that, but then we turned around and completely took the ball out of Mostert's hand. Like, the guy was legitimately, they had no answer for him. And I didn't care that they got to a point where he was only getting 2 yards on the first run and the first down of the series. I don't care. Keep pounding them. Because they proved, right? Everybody was talking about this Buffalo defense. Well, the only reason the Buffalo run defense was rated as high as it is because of the fact that people generally was behind in the points and they had to abandon their run games. It's not that group is so good at it. It's just that most people didn't have an opportunity to expose them. But then when people have done it, they've done it with the high efficiency. And when we proved that we can run the ball against them too, you go away from it. And I know what it is. I know Josh wants to have this thing where Tua can also say, you know what? Haha, I told you I could do it. But at the end of the day, that process compromises a lot of what we could be doing for supreme balance. And at this stage, we gotta find some balance. That's what they should be striving for, is balance. So yes, it was Tua's best snow game or bad weather game by far. Yeah. But at the same time, coaching blunders took it away from him, because you took the ball completely where you could have had your balance to still continue doing things that they couldn't stop. Yeah. You went completely to passing the ball and left the run game, completely on the sideline. I'm like, you killed yourself. Rookie mistakes again. Rookie coach mistakes, though. Shot himself in the foot. And he said in the press conference, he got ahead of himself. He got ahead of himself in his thought process because he felt like they were going to crowd the box.
He's trying to get ahead of the defense. Yeah, that's what he said.
Listen, if they don't show you that they crowd the box, and you keep doing what you're doing until you make them put the extra body into the box. Because
you know what it felt like? You know what it felt like? Oh, I got a couple of nice runs. I must have drawn them up into the box. I can just revert back to what I do, and it's like
Richmond heard this before, though, right? You dictate. You don't allow the defense to dictate to you how you're going to operate. You dictate the terms, and that has to be the mindset on both sides of the ball. Our defense is not going out here playing matchup with somebody else's offense, and we should at any point ever tone down our offense to anticipate what somebody's going to do on defense. It's their job to stop us, and I think in this game, he got a little bit
ahead of himself. He outcoached himself. Okay, so Richmond. Ahead, your thought on was this Tua's best cold weather game? Raheem Mostert's performance. Remember, 11 carries for over 100 yards in the first half. Then he only got the ball 6 times in the second half. And McDaniel's play calling overall.
Yeah, I would say by far, and the other thing I think that played a big role into his performance is this offense really fits his skill set and the things he does well. So that definitely played a part. But I think even the week before, he's continued to get back to the type of player he was playing when he was being mentioned for MVP. So that's the good thing, especially when we got these last three down the stretch. I agree. I think Coach was, and I think it's because sometimes when you're highly intelligent, his brain was going faster than what it should be, and typically that's what happens when you keep gashing somebody on the run. They're gonna bring their safeties up. They'll put 9 people in the box, this and that. But typically you wait until they make that commitment, and then you say, okay, if they bring them up in 9, we'll throw the ball next time, this and that. But I think his mind is just, I mean, he's got a brilliant mind, and sometimes he's got to just slow down. And then sometimes I think that's the responsibility of the guys in the press box and saying, hey, coach, let's just stick with it. Just, everything's good. They hadn't brought him down in the box. Sometimes you need somebody to remind you, hey, everything's good. Let's just stick with it. But I mean, I was like, man, when he was gashing him in that first half, I was like, oh my goodness. And that was a perfect thing. I could even, watching the game, I saw the little petty stuff they was throwing, the little snowballs and stuff like that. But it got quiet in the stadium, bro. And that's when I knew. I said, once you take the crowd out the game, it's just, hey, we just
when we got up.
When we got up, it got quiet. It got quiet. I was like, they said, oh, they wasn't expecting that. They thought they was gonna come up here and just blow us out and this and that. And but I think that was the biggest thing. I think he and for him to admit that, and I think sometimes you got to make those mistakes as a coach, and then you come back and kind of correct them and say, okay, because he has been getting back to the run. He just didn't run it enough in the second half, and I think
situationally too.
Yeah, and like you said, on some of the third downs, this and that. If you make the plays, it's you don't question. But when you don't make the plays and you only need a yard, and you've been running the football like they was running in this game, it's like, man, you got to give him a chance to get that, because now you keep the defense on the field and they're looking like, man, what the hell are we gonna do? We can't stop them, this and that. It starts playing, mental games in their head and stuff like that. So he had them. He just, like you said, we kind of outcoached ourselves and kind of let that one get away from us.
Muted.
You muted.
This was a part of the game where I knew that Buffalo kind of was they were feeling the pressure of the run game. It was when Alec Ingold was going to the left side on it was a toss, and he caught a pass out in the flats, and then we had just run a pretty decent run with Mostert, and he got up, and what that boy named Edwards came over there and made the tackle, and
Edmonds,
Edmonds, and Ingold was trying to, he was trying to like dap him up, say, hey, good tackle or whatnot. And he wouldn't even acknowledge him. Anytime you get a player that you want to, hey, good play, bro, but I'm going to be right back. You know what I mean? Alex was looking at him like, oh, okay, that's how we doing this now?
Yeah.
That's when you know that player know without a shadow of a doubt he in for a long game. No matter how anybody, whatever level it is, wherever it's been, and when the offense is giving it to the defense, and you see them guys out there, they start chirping at each other, which Buffalo was doing a whole lot of, and you didn't hear nothing about Matt. You didn't hear nothing from Matt Milano, any of that stuff. His name wasn't being called, all that type of stuff, and they was out there yapping at each other. That's when you got them. That's when they are scrambling out at that point, trying to figure out exactly how we gonna stop these dudes.
Yeah.
And then he just walked. He just left. We walked away from that. Whenever we gotta keep them. You gotta keep them. Have them frustrated with each other to the point that they can't even focus on their primary goal, and that's when you really seal the deal. But it's a rookie coach thing, man. It's just frustrating that, like you said, Richmond. I said it last week too, right? Somebody gotta be up there in that box saying, "Hey, Mike, let's keep grinding them, bro."
Yeah. The problem is the guy who should be isn't even the offensive coordinator. He's the freaking quarterback coach. It's Bevel.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Bevel's got to go through a chain of command, basically, almost, right? He can't step over his offensive coordinator, right? So I mean, like that's just usually how it works. So I mean, I think
that needs to be well. So that would be definitely one of the things to address going forward is who can talk to Mike, right, and establish. He needs to have a triangle. There needs to be himself and two other people looking at all the plays being called and following the flow of the game, right? Because head coaches are just as susceptible as getting in their own way as anybody else. And especially if they're, you know what I'm saying, especially if this is the first time. Huh?
Yeah, you use a really key word there, flow, because it's almost like, it's almost like you're always taught to go with the grain. And McDaniel, all of a sudden, play calling wise, will go against
the grain.
And it's like, what are you doing? Like the game flow, the players play in the game flow is slapping you in the face and telling you either feed me or let me go to work. And then you get away from it. It's just, and it's consistent. And it's just odd that it's happened now 3 games in a row and no one's stepped up in that room for a guy who has no ego. And he's easy to approach, and no one stepped up and been like, yo, bro, because I've said this before. Why does the guy on YouTube know how to fix this and what adjustments need to be made? And the guy who's getting paid millions of dollars doesn't do it. And I'm a huge McDaniel fan. It's just like, you know what someone said to me? He's got to get away from the Shanahan. You got to carve your own path because he still has some tendencies that Shanahan does in terms of Shanahan will abandon the run like that too.
Right.
Look what happened
in the Super Bowl.
Both. Did in both.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, right? Like, and remember, Mostert got him to the Super Bowl that year, and they got away from him when it mattered.
Those tendencies can be detrimental, man, in the wrong, and then they pop up at the worst times, especially when they lead to becoming momentum killers.
Yeah,
because the game at this level, the game is so crucial to momentum, and if it shifts, it's always like Josh Allen running that. How long was that run he ran? Like 60-some yards?
45, something like that.
Yeah, that's a momentum. That's an instant momentum shift. That's a run that got the crowd back in the game, and at that point, then we got our guys scrambling, all that type of stuff. And that stuff, and people don't factor that in a lot, but it's huge in a game where you got two teams as equally matched as us. Now, people didn't have us matched in their mindset, but if you look at us on paper, we are equally matched. And the only difference is they got an experienced coaching staff over there with the guy who's calling the plays that, and to that, I think Josh is not the Josh he used to be because your boy in New York was his safety blanket. Who's the head coach now?
Oh
yeah. What's his name?
Dabble.
But when the passing game breaks down, as you notice, Josh relies 100% on them legs, man, and that 6'5" frame.
Hey, Ballgame. Yeah. Let me ask you this question on that play because we were playing man coverage on that.
Yep.
So is it a way you can play man coverage and have a guy spy Josh Allen? Because you already know he has the capability. If man, everybody sticks to their man, so they run off. So once he broke through the, is it a way you can have a linebacker or a safe somebody spy him?
They could have did it the same way they played it when they played with Javon Holland came down and stopped him on that one drive where he was trying to roll out to the left side of the field. And you can do it in cover one, but we was in 2 men. You know what I'm saying? We was in cover 2 men with 2 high safety. That's not going to work, right? So you got to sacrifice. You could have brought one of those guys down into the box and set him in there as well to be the spy, right? But you saw it. He didn't. It was like hike. I'm out. I'm gone.
It was wide open.
Because as soon as our guys turned their bodies to run with the receivers and the linebacker had departed the middle, he was gone. And he went completely opposite. The linebacker opened up to the left hand side. Josh went to the left, and he was gone. And he was up on guys and gone past them before they even realized it because they were still in coverage. Now you combat that by walking one of your safeties down and putting him in a spy position, and they did it later in the game, which was crazy. Well, they did it. It was Holland, a guy completely athletic enough to be able to run with him and got some pump to his, to stop him. Yeah. And you did it later, but at that point, you didn't do it. It was like, What?
Yeah.
And who was
So-
their real threat to go
So let's
deep on
talk
us?
about this because the road defense. I gotta ask y'all, did it let us down again, especially when it mattered most? The 3rd and 17, that final 7-yard drive where they went from holding Singletary to 8 yards. They allowed 34 to him on that drive. They just allowed them to almost 7 minutes off the clock. Game winning, Cater Kohu, who's been so good all year, takes a penalty. And now this is how we stack up on the road, because it's been a subject consistently on this show, gentlemen, and on this channel, really. And Josh Boyer in this defense, they're permitting 31.5 points per game on the road. Just for comparison, the Bills and Jets, they allow 18 points per game on the road. New England allows 21.1. Even better, the Dolphins on the road are allowing a 109.9 passer rating, 6 yards per play, and 16 touchdown passes to 1 interception on the road, where at home they've allowed 8 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. And instead of 6 yards per play, they allow under 5 at 4.8. And they don't allow a passer rating higher than 84.6 at home. What are you guys' thoughts on, did this defense let us down again at critical times? Because they did have a stretch in the second half where they got a couple 3-and-outs off them.
Right.
But again, that 3rd and 17 that ended up being a score before the end of the half, allowing Allen to extend plays and basically, hanging your coverage guys out to dry on certain situation, like Boyer situational play calling. What did you guys think? Did that road defense let us down again with the 32 points?
I think you want to go ahead, Ballgame?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, because you'll go into more depth than I will. But like you said, right before half, I think that one definitely hurt, because you get the touchdown and they got the ball at the beginning of the third quarter. So you actually put yourself in a position to where they can actually go out and get 7, 10, maybe 14 points, which is a big swing before you get an opportunity to touch the football again. But I think they stopped them coming out in the third quarter. But you run that risk of giving it up. So anytime a team defers to the second half and they can close out the half and get a touchdown or whatever, and then get the ball again, they can really put you in a hole, or they can put them right back in the football game. But normally the defense is kind of a bend, don't break, and when they kind of get backed up, they kind of tighten up. But it was crucial times, like you said, right before halftime and then toward the end of the game, where we really needed to get the ball back. They just marched down, ate up the clock, and we didn't get an opportunity to, get the ball back to even have an attempt to try to, go down, get a field goal, a touchdown, to try to win it. They just ate it up, and I think that was tough. We couldn't get off the field, so we definitely got to find a way to be able to make plays. I know Buffalo's a good team. They're gonna make some plays, snap it in crucial times. Sometimes you got to find a way to make a play, or don't continue to give up those type of plays when you need to get the ball back, or stop that team to get the ball back for your offense. But I'll give it over to you, Ballgame.
So for me, man, the mindset of your defense stems from the aggressiveness and the mindset of your coordinator. And there were several instances in that game where he was. And I think a lot of this is attributed. The road woes. Let me say this right off the bat: the road woes for this defense, I think, are attributed to Boyer's lack of preparation. I think a lot of what I see and what I watch and I see these guys doing is completely different in the aggressive nature in which they do things at home, as opposed to when they're on the road. And I think a lot of that comes from the guy that's calling the plays. They're going to take out on the field the energy that he is providing them also. If he's not 100% confident and he's not actually fundamentally gap sound in what he's asking of them and the calls that he's making, they can execute 100%. But if it's a bad call, it's just a bad call, because now you're asking guys to go against the call, which is not always going to be the case. You see what I'm saying? They're going to go out and they're going to do exactly what he calls. If he calls cover 3 sky, you know what I'm saying? And it's a 34 over cover 3 sky with a with a banjo rip. If the banjo rip is what what costs you to play, and the running back gets loose on that, even though cover 3 is not a run defense, but the running back, if he rips and the guy Reggie's or whatever the case might be, then you know what I mean. That's on the defensive coordinator, and I think a lot of what this Jekyll and Hyde is associated with Boyer. I always start at the top. I blame players for lack of execution in a lot of areas. You know what I'm saying? But they can only do so much. They're going to have to go out and play to what is being called first. And if they see an opportunity to make a play, then you make a play within what's called. You know what I mean? And I don't necessarily think anybody with veteran enough on the field is going to worry about getting chewed out for making making an independent play, as long as you don't hang somebody else out. But we got a young group of guys, especially in the back end. And for me, that all starts with play calling, right? And you telling the guy it's cover 3, cover 4, he already 7 yards off, right? And he's watching, because there's a poach, you know what I'm saying? Especially for the safety, there's a poach route. There's a poach technique that happens. They don't even backpedal in cover 4. They watch to see if it's run first. But in cover 3, it's different, because now you got that whole third you got to worry about. And I just think a lot of the lack of execution, especially in that last stretch where Singletary was eating us up, I put that all on Boyer, because you got to own the gaps. We weren't at any point gap sound at all. And he didn't call no timeout to stop it. When they got the first couple runs off, I would have called a timeout then, pulled them to the sideline, calmed them down, and said, listen, they can't get another yard. We need to own the B and A gaps. We'll worry about the edges. I'll bring somebody else up. I don't think they're at any point going to be looking to do too much passing. And if they do, we'll still be right there. But all our guys were still backed off. Linebackers were sitting at 7.5, 8, as opposed to being at 4 or 5. You know what I'm saying? We head up with the tackles and the center. So you're leaving the inside gaps wide open. And where was he running to? Inside zone, left side, right side, right at the gap. Because now you got a free guy, a guy uncovered. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what are we doing? So I blame it on Boyer. I'm gonna start at the top this time. We've gone all season individually blaming players and things of that nature. But at this point now, this close to the end of the year, and you're still this level of Jekyll and Hyde, it and starts at the top.
Issues.
Yeah. Well, the tackling issues, I attribute that to the fact that they made the situation so soft that guys don't. Listen, you're never gonna get great at tackling if you can't practice it. It just don't happen. Like, the guys just not gonna show up. If you was a natural tackler from the beginning, and you came into the league tackling, and then they changed the rules up, that's a little different. But if you wasn't a tackler prior to coming into the league, and now you can't even tackle in practice at all, you're never gonna really get good at it.
Well, we're bottom 10 in the league in tackling.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
And that's a testament to the fact that on defense we hella young, extremely young, right? I mean, who's the oldest player on the defense? John Jenkins?
Yeah, I would have to look.
Right? Probably is. And he played down there.
Baker been in the league for how many years? I ain't trying to hear it.
Never been a tackler.
X been in the league for how many years?
Never been a tackler. Never been a tackler, bro. So I'm not making excuses for him. They were never tacklers. They were never tacklers even in college.
Landon Roberts. That's his whole thing is tackling.
Whole thing is supposed to be tackling. But shit, you lucky if Landon don't get knocked out. Running into the back of his own guy. So I mean, he ain't never been considered the smartest dude. You know what I'm saying? So we got a whole bunch of guys
even Holland, who's known for tackling, has whiffed a lot this year.
Yeah,
he's known as a thumper. Whiff.
The skill, man. If you don't get an opportunity to continue to sharpen it, you continue to lose it. And what we see all the time, every week, arm tackles. Guys trying to throw an arm out there to slow a guy down. That ain't gonna stop nobody. They gonna stop no 210-pound dude or 195, 200-pound wide receiver. They're not gonna stop him. And Josh Allen know that. That's why he can eat the way he eat, because they done changed the rules to the point that the physicality of the game, the only way you're gonna get it is in the trenches, bro.
Like, listen, bro. There's teams in the league that are in the top 10 in terms of not missing the tackles. I don't want no fucking excuses, bro. You're professional. You're coached by professionals. Tackling is a fundamental thing you should be doing since youth football. I ain't trying to hear that shit at the professional level, bro.
I understand. I'm with you, bro. But they don't do it. We got a whole bunch of non-tackling motherfuckers on this team, bro.
And I ain't trying to fucking have that, bro. Then they shouldn't be in the NFL.
Yeah, get them out of here. I'm with you 100%.
Okay, so here's the real question. Now that we're talking about Boyer, is he on the hot seat? And I asked that because today McDaniel said defensive issues have been discussed and he expects them to, quote, improve drastically in a short amount of time. And we saw him going back and forth, Boyer and McDaniel on the sideline. We've seen them going back and forth recently. And say what you will, Boyer ain't McDaniel's guy. Okay, so let's go here. Is Boyer on the hot seat?
Simple answer, yes.
Richmond?
Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, if you're hearing stuff like that, it's like an underlying message. They're saying it without being said that, it's too hard to win in this league to have a game and then secure it. And then when you really need to get off the field, that's when you need to be dependent on it. So it possibly is. And it's just like players. I think everybody's evaluated. I think this offseason, if you're not making a cut, he's going to be looking to improve in certain areas because he's got the players. And one thing he said was, and I heard y'all say it, is if they execute, we win. If we got enough ball, we got enough players that if you put the ball in their hands of playmakers that, it's been proven that you can do that on one side, but if you're not stopping anybody on the other side, you're going to have issues. So, yeah, I think it was said without just coming out and saying, that, but I definitely, and hopefully that lights the fire up on him to where we really see the improvement these last 3 games. That's what I'm hoping. But
Ballgame, what are your thoughts on this? Because everyone's talking about Vic Fangio, and we know there's a tie there. But another name people got to watch is what if Todd Bowles gets fired? Todd Bowles is a perfect guy to come in and take the DC job. And what about a guy like Brandon Staley? He could be fired out of LA, and he cut his teeth being a defensive guy. 2 former head coaches you could bring in, and one of them, Todd Bowles, kind of like Fangio. They got nothing left to prove. They can stick around as a DC for years, right? Retire in Miami. What are your thoughts? Because there's going to be the point of me naming those names is because there's going to be options and legitimate options on the market who could come in. Because I've said this before. Listen, I know our team sack numbers are better since we've gotten Chubb, but I think Chubb's individual numbers would be better if we had a Fangio, if we had a Bowles, knew how to use and get the most and maximize that kind of player. What are your thoughts? Is he on the hot seat? I know you said yes, but what are your in-depth thoughts on it, on him being on the hot seat, especially with there's going to be legitimate options available?
For me, at this point now, there's enough statistical data out there now to prove that this group has regressed under him being in charge of them. And even though we don't have the names per se in some of the key places that we used to have, these guys that play for the Miami Dolphins are still great enough athletes that we should not be statistically in the bottom third, but in the bottom quarter of the league. I mean, that just doesn't work for me. And then when you go out and on the offensive side of the ball, we was picking up 3rd and 17s at some point in the year like it was nothing. But now we're giving them up. That's a problem that has to be addressed, and that has to be. And when you look at the play calls that he's actually calling, they're the most vanilla play calls that anybody could possibly put out there. And you got to ask yourself then that question. I mean, you got to ask yourself then this question: does he not have something in his toolbox enough for him to stay aggressive in the points and times where you really need him to be aggressive the most? Having come on, having been with Flores, now begs the question: who's really calling it again, right? And then at this point now, the regression, like I said, the regression of this group, man, is undeniable, and it has to be addressed. So either it be something where they bring someone else in to co with him, right, and then they together take the job, or you just go completely. Yeah, well, I'm just saying you go
Yeah.
completely and just
We
go
saw
get you
that work
somebody
last year ball game.
Yeah.
I ain't going down that one again.
get somebody proven. You know what I mean? Something has to change. Like you can't have high level efficiency on offense and then your defense being the top in the bottom and being the tanks. And it's all happened under his watch. Like as soon as he took over as soon as he took over the reins, they've regressed. And there's not been any upward tick other than the couple games we played at home where they've been, like I said, the Jekyll and Hyde thing. That in itself doesn't work. There has to be also on defense some level of you playing consistently. And we haven't seen any consistency. And that all starts at the top for me. So, yeah, hot seat, man, he better off, he got a better chance of being in hell, and, you know what I'm saying, on the beach in hell right now.
Are the Dolphins still a playoff team in your mind, or and what I mean by that is, are they a team you expect now to just squeak into the playoffs and you're hoping they win a game when a couple weeks ago we thought we could legitimately win a game or even two?
I think they are legitimate. I think the thing is fixing some of the things like Ballgame said earlier. Once the playoffs start, it's you win or you go home. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't do any good to play like we did against Buffalo and say, hey, we really played well, but if we fix those things. Now's the time, like Ballgame said, fix those things to where you know what's coming. And it's almost like we're almost in a position like we were last year, except it's different where our playoffs should start with Green Bay. I'll just say it that way. If we win and just did it and just say we approach it that way and just say, hey, we win this and that. And once you get in the rhythm and stuff like that, like you said, you can win one, you win the first one. I'm pretty sure we're going to be a wild card team, and I don't have no issue with that. But the scary thing about that is when you're one of the hot teams going into the playoffs, it makes other teams that are seated ahead of you a little nervous because they say, hey, they're in a rhythm right now, this and that. Yeah, they're coming in, we're playing at home, but it really puts something in the back of their head to say, hey, if we don't come out and play right, this team can take us out and knock us out. And that's the last thing you want to do is have home field advantage or a game at home and then to lose it right in front of your fans and stuff like that. But I definitely think they are. But like Ballgame said, we got to fix those little things because those are the little things that sometimes that make the difference between a touchdown or a field goal, or like you said, getting off on third down or a drive continues. If we fix those little tweaks, this and that, it'll make a huge difference. So I think that's what we should be focused on. And I say the playoffs start with Green Bay this weekend.
I think for me, I'm going to start off, and I want to make sure people out there understand that there's a huge difference in the road to the playoffs between the NFC and the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
Squeaking in, for me, there ain't no squeaking in. If you make the playoffs in the AFC, you earned it because the AFC is chock full of way more teams that can compete at a high level.
Side note, I'm rooting for Jacksonville to win out and everything go in their favor. They're fun to watch right now. Yeah, they're fun to watch. Anyways,
yeah. T-Law is definitely doing his thing.
Bro, he's proven me wrong, and wait till he gets Calvin Ridley next year. Oh.
Yeah, anyways, they're going to be a dangerous squad.
Yeah.
But it's a meat grinder in the AFC for me. So the Dolphins get in, they will have earned their spot to get in because on any given Sunday, any of those 7 that will be there, as they're listed currently right now, can beat anybody over on the NFC, you know what I'm saying, twice over. And they've already beat up on each other enough through the season to know that they are battle tested and they're ready for it. So I believe we are a playoff contender. I believe that we've proven that to the naysayers as well. And I just I agree with Richmond. Our playoffs essentially starts this Sunday, and that's a huge one, right? The last time Aaron visited us, he stole our heart, right? On a fake, you know what I'm saying? On the the fake down.
Was that the Tannehill game where we gave him
Yeah.
only like a minute left and
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers drove
He hit
it?
us
I
with
was so
he hit us
bitter.
with the Marino.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it starts Sunday for sure.
Well, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers then. Ball game.
Yeah.
Does he worry you on Christmas Day? Because I don't know if you looked it up, brother, but Aaron Rodgers on Christmas Day is zero joke. So when he played the Browns in 2021 on Christmas Day, he was 24 of 34 for 202 yards and 3 touchdowns. When he played the Bears in 2011, 21 of 29, 283 and 5 touchdowns. So his 2 games on Christmas days, he's been lights out. Does he worry you on Christmas Day defensively?
I think what worries me about Aaron Rodgers is his savviness and the fact that he's been around. And you can't at any point discount experience. You know, that in itself alone is an equalizer against great athleticism and a defense playing, you know, if they're playing at a high level. The struggles that we're having, that's what worries me about playing against Aaron. I don't think offensively, our offense against their defense, I'm not so concerned because their guys have had they've been a shit show over there. But it's Aaron Rodgers we're talking about, and the name still matters, and the guy still has premium. I would say very well premium skills, and he's still a top name. He's still a top guy until he's not. And yeah, I always respect guys like that because you never know what their motivations are. You know what I mean? Like Aaron could have said, you know what, the season's over for us. We didn't play up to the way I feel we should be playing. But that's not what he said in the press conference. He said, and I quote him saying, "We just got to win out. We still got a shot."
Yeah.
And that tells me that his mindset is win every game that we got left on our schedule. So he's gonna come out and compete, and you know, still top 5 quarterback in the league. You know, arguably. So yeah, I'm concerned, but you know, it's a challenge that we still need. I think this is another great challenge for the Dolphins to right the ship. You know, you're taking 3 losses, you can't afford to take another, really. So get your shit together and let's get it done.
Richmond, you worried about Aaron Rodgers?
The thing that I definitely respect him, like Ballgame said, he's still that guy. I think the thing that concerns me about Aaron Rodgers is I'm sure he will be doing film study and he's looking for the weak link on the defense. And what I mean by that is who can he exploit at the corner. It doesn't matter which one. If he figures out if it's a route that you have issues with, if you can't handle the back shoulder throw, if you can't handle the post, you know, whatever route it is, this and that, they want to look for the weak spot. And if he finds out where it is and you can't cover it up, he's gonna lean on it all game. He'll make a living off of it. So that's the thing that kind of concerns me with a guy like that. I do think we can beat him. But like I said, we gotta fix those things and typically get guys like Phillips and Wilkins, get those guys, they're back at home, this and that, and create some pressure on them and kind of disrupt them out the pocket. I think that'll help. But definitely defensive backs definitely need to be ready to play because he's just a master. He'll dissect you like a surgeon if you're not ready for it. That's the thing that kind of concerns me about Aaron Rodgers.
Crazy thing coming into this week. The Dolphins are 3rd in the NFL. It's an offense in passing yards per game at about 273.6. The Packers, 16th at 219.3 yards per game. Count your blessings, Dolphin fans. Tua is averaging almost 60 yards more per game than Aaron Rodgers right now. Okay, so speaking of Tua, he sliced and diced the Bears, which were the number 5 overall passing defense when we faced them. Now he's about to face the number 2 passing defense in the NFL, led by Jar Alexander, Adrian Amos, Russell Douglas, Darnell Savage. guys, they are only allowing about 185.1 yards per game as a pass defense. Can Tua get it done against the number 2 pass defense in the NFL? Richmond, start with you.
Yeah, that doesn't really concern me. I mean, like you said, it was the same thing with Buffalo. I think the thing that not really concerns me is having a good game plan and executing it. And if you find something, don't be so quick to. If we can get somebody to slow it down to where if it's working, I always say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if the running game gets going like it did just keep doing it until they force you or try to force you to do something else. And then that's the way you kind of keep them off. But I think that didn't concern me. I think if you give Tua the game plan, the way he prepares mentally, this and that, Waddle, Tyreek, all those guys, I think they're gonna be honed in, especially Cheetah. Like you said, he made a couple. He didn't make a pass, a catch or something that he thought he truly should have. He looks at himself as a leader of this team, definitely a captain, this and that. And he wants to be the guys when we need plays in clutch positions. He's that guy to make them. So I expect a big game out of him. So I think if I'm Green Bay's defense, I'd be concerned about, how we're going to stop these. But I think Mike McDaniel put together another good game plan like he did against Buffalo. It's just sticking with it. Instead of sometimes, like you say, he gets to thinking too fast and snap. And then, somebody said, hey, man, hey, it's working. Let's just stick with it. Not yet. I know what you're doing, but just keep doing what you're doing, bro. You're on the right path.
Yeah, Aaron Jones has come on as of late as well, so as a running threat for them. But
and they got A.J. Dillon.
And A.J. Dillon as well. Yep. So their record doesn't reflect the effort that they've put into these games over the past.
But you're a secondary guy. They got the second best pass defense. Are you worried about Alexander's no slouch, Douglas is no slouch, Adrian Amos is no slouch? They got Darnell Savage. They got some good secondary players there, man. I have the
utmost respect for those guys and the positions that they play, and I think they're all dogs. But when you have to line up against Waddle, and you have to line up against Tyreek, and you have to deal with Sherfield and Cedric and Mostert coming out the backfield and things of that nature, some of that stuff gets neutralized because at the end of the day, they see the film. They notice that you can watch the film, but being live on the field with that type of speed is something that they don't get to see that often. That kid Watson they have is fast, but he is not Tyreek and Waddle fast, and that's a game changer. So for me, I have to go with knowing that even as a DB, I got to transition and go backwards to turn with a guy who's already coming full speed ahead. I'm going to be at a disadvantage. So I respect them, but I just think that the matchup is not in their favor. So, and to take a look at the overall process of things, we need this. We got to have this. Right? I mean, even if they do win out, there's no guarantee for them. We win this game, we only need one more, right? And then we good. We win all three, that's even better for us. So I think the changes and the tweaks will be made. The game will be, what it is. But yeah, I will never disrespect that group because I think they do have one of the best secondaries in the league. So, and they're all healthy, but our speed is unmatched, and we're gonna be at home, so on a fast surface. So,
I mean, and I don't know if you heard, Tyreek was asked about playing on Christmas Day, and he said, "I'm kind of looking forward to it. Got some crazy celebrations for Christmas Day. It's going to be a fun show. I'm going to give the people something to watch. It's going to be very entertaining." So we'll see how it goes. Your guys' final thoughts on the Christmas Day matchup between the Packers and the Dolphins, as well as your score predictions.
Yeah, my final thoughts is playoff start Sunday. I think Ballgame said it. If we win out, we're in good position. But at least 2 out of the last 3 we need to win. So
You can afford. You can technically afford to lose this game. If you lose this game, but you beat the Patriots and the Jets, you're in the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't want to keep waiting until the last two. I'd rather
I
get one
agree.
now. Yeah, I know you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I'm glad you explained it for the fans. But yeah, if we can get this one, it just like you said, it's been a while since we won this. Now I think it just be good for team morale. This and that. Say, okay, man, we finally got over the hump. We back into it. Let's get going. But I think the key is we already talked about it. I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but go in, tweak the little things, fix that, and I think that makes a huge difference. I think the game plan was called good enough for us to win that last game. It's just staying focused on what we need to do and honing in on that and fix the little mistakes we did and fixing some things on defense. It's not a lot, but it's enough to where it could cost your game something. If we fix those things, I feel good. I'm going with the Dolphins. My prediction is going to be 27-21 Dolphins.
You should feel good about that Bills game. You know why? Because Tua finishes this season against the Bills 30 of 48, 420 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 111.46 passer rating against the Bills this year.
Yeah.
All right, continue on. Your final thoughts on Christmas Day's matchup and your prediction ball game.
Time to hone in for the playoffs. No better time to do it than coming back home, being in front of your fans. I respect the team. I respect what they're trying to do to get themselves at least a shot at the playoffs. But more or less, I'm concerned about what we got to do. And they just happen to be a speed bump on the way to correcting our woes and putting ourselves in a position to be that much closer to the ultimate goal, which is getting to the playoffs and run the table. So I'll respect the Green Bay, but I think it'll be 31-20 Dolphins. And I think this week we get some balance, the balance that we need, right? Run the ball, play action off of that, RPO off of that. Tyreek can get his celebrations. Waddle get his dose of giving them the business as well, and we can get back to the football we were enjoying prior to this the 3-game skid for me. So I believe he does it. I still have faith in Mike, right? Obviously, don't lose faith in the guy, just because of a couple speed bumps, because I know how difficult that is as a coach to get into a rhythm and then get out of a rhythm. That has happened to me as well, calling plays from the sideline. I had to actually get away from the sideline completely and go up in the box just so I could see everything from a different viewpoint as well and not have so many people in my ear influencing what I was looking at and what I was calling. But, I don't know what his issues. I don't know what his deal is going to be for him to be able to get to that point where he can stay in the groove. But I believe he finds it, and I believe that's what's going to push and propel this team in the last 3 weeks and into the playoffs to be the best version of themselves and give people hell. So 31-20 Dolphins.
Man, 31. Y'all are believing. I think we're gonna win. So, I predicted us to go 3-3 on the final stretch and be 9-2 heading into the final 6. We were 8-3 heading into the final 6. We've lost the first 3, so let's win the next 3. I mean, because we spoke about it earlier, you want to be that team that builds momentum heading into the playoffs, and you can build off of it heading into the playoffs. But 2 things are gonna have to, for us to stand a chance and be able to do damage in the playoffs. 3 things are gonna have to change. Well, we can put one into 2, and we can put 2 things into 1. So 1, situationally on both sides of the ball, on third down, situationally on both sides of the ball, we're going to have to be better at play calling. And number 2, you ain't going to go anywhere in this league, especially in the playoffs, with no run game. Without a commitment to the run, it's just not going to happen. So, listen, it's been a while, right? Was it been since Thanksgiving since we've celebrated a victory, basically?
Yeah.
Almost. So it's been a while, we got a chance to still win one on December before it gets out here. So we can get those December woes go away. Listen, that loss hurt me because I felt like we should have won that game. And We got a performance from Tua that we hadn't seen in bad weather condition. We didn't make the most of it, and it is what it is. He's gotten better. He got better in the Chargers game than he was the week before against San Fran, and he was better this week than he was against the Chargers. It's just, again, deficiencies around him continue to basically stop this offense from stealing games. So let's get it right. Let's get it fixed, and let's get this W this week. As always, I appreciate all of you for coming through. We will see y'all right back here next time at the finish line. Until then, everyone, stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed. And as always, fins up.
Fins up.
Stay blessed, y'all.